Welcome to Meeple Mentor. I'm Jared, and we are about to play Rajas of the Ganges. Let's take a look. I'll show you how. Feel free to pause the video as needed to follow along with your copy of the game. My goal is this video can not only teach you to play, but can be shown at the game table to help set up and teach the game at your next game session. As part of that goal, I've added chapter timestamps in the description to the different sections of the tutorial to easily recap relevant rules for you. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell below the video so you don't miss any of my latest content. Rajas of the Ganges takes place in India in the era of the aspiring Mughal Empire. Great prosperity is attained through the trading of silk, tea, and spices. The Red Fort and Taj Mahal are built during this time, with gorgeous gardens near new buildings and parks. At this peak of India, players will become Rajas, trying to live up to the requirements of their role as venerable sovereigns. Improve your estate into wealthy provinces, and balance your growth into prestige and prosperity with your regard for karma. Whoever does this best will become the nation's most legendary leader. Use the different colored dice with your workers to win the race with a combination of wealth and fame. These are tracks that run parallel to each other but in opposite directions. By increasing both, your fame and money markers will intersect. The first player who does this and passes the furthest will win. Based on your player count, put the game board in the center of the table with the right side face up. For a 3-player game, cover these 2 spaces with these tiles. You can remove the yellow, red, and brown yield tiles and the 8 river tiles back to the game box. These are used in variants and advanced game modes. I'll cover those at the end of the video. The white yield tokens should be placed face down on this temple. Create a general supply of the 48 colored dice near the board. Then sort the province tiles by color and symbol on their backs. There will be snake, cow, and tiger in each color. Mix these 12 stacks separately and turn them face up. These stacks should be on the table to the side, visible to everybody. Give each player a province board placed in front of them on the beginner side for your first game. Let each player choose a color to be, taking the components in that color, such as the Kali statue board, 6 workers, 1 boat, 5 cubes, 1 money marker, 1 fame marker, and the 1 bonus marker. The Kali statue board should go above or next to your estate board, on the side with the 2 dice spaces shown in the middle of the art. There are 3 spots on the board for players to put 3 of their workers. 1 is placed at 15 fame, 1 on 20 money, and 1 on the bridge over the river Ganges. Since 1 of every player's workers go here, you'll have stacks. Your remaining 3 workers should sit below your Kali statue. Additionally, you'll make a stack of everyone's fame tokens at 0 at the beginning of the fame track. Everyone should place their boat token on the starting space of the river. Then, everyone puts 1 of their cubes on the level 1 row of the Karma path. It becomes your Karma cube. On each of the 4 building scrolls to the right of the map, place 1 of your cubes at the far left column. These are now upgrade cubes and can increase during the game to these higher value columns. On the first bonus space of the money track at 12, everyone should place their bonus marker with the blue side face up. Each player should take 1 die of each color and roll them. Place them with the rolled result on any of the unoccupied arms of their Kali statue. The player who rolled the lowest total from their 4 dice becomes the starting player. If a tie, whoever ate Indian food last. Take the start player elephant token and keep it near their province board. Place this starting player's money marker on space 3 of the money track, with the player to their left on space 4. Continue going clockwise, adding everyone's money markers 1 forward so the last player of the first round starts with the most money. Rajas of the Ganges will go on round after round until the end game is triggered. Each player takes a turn 1 at a time until everyone has placed and used all of their available workers. Then everyone gathers them back and a new round begins. If one of the players placed a worker at the Great Mogul space, they take the starting player elephant and become the start player for the next round. If no one went there, the elephant token is passed clockwise to the next player left of the current start player. The game's end will trigger when one player manages to have their fame marker and money marker converge or pass each other. Essentially, the game is a race, not measured by points as most games do. To take a turn, you must have an available worker to use. The dice are your resources, in addition to your current money as shown on the money track by your token's position. After placing your worker on an empty worker action space, pay whatever costs are necessary and carry out the action. Dice must be spent from your collected and rolled dice placed on your Kali statue and returned to the general supply. You are limited to holding 10 dice with your statue. If you should gain more than that, you should either take less or choose to lose some from your statue before taking and rolling the new ones. The dice are a limited resource, so if there are no more dice in the color you should gain, you can't take that color. Anytime you gain a new die to your statue, including at the beginning of the game, roll it immediately. Place it on your statue with the rolled number face up. When gaining or spending money during the game, move your money token forwards or backwards on the money track. Should you be at 0 on the track or not have enough money to spend for the action, you can't take that action. This is the same for dice costs. If you don't have it, you can't take that action. There are 4 main areas your workers can be sent to. On the left is the Great Mogul's Palace with a top and bottom area. The top section requires you to spend a specific die number to take the actions. The ones below can either give you a colored die for free or let you exchange one of a certain color to get 2 of another. The harbor is this worker action area that lets you advance your boat along the river. You'll get the benefits of the space you land on. The marketplace is this central area full of the blue tents. These spaces let you earn money based on the types of markets you've got in your province and the dice used. The quarry is this topmost area that lets you build new tiles on your province board by spending a combination of money and dice. The action spaces have this square design and could be empty or show a money or die cost. The empty ones mean you don't pay anything to place a worker there. If the cost shows a die with a color but no pips, you must spend a die of that color regardless of what was rolled on it. When you see a die with a neutral color but a certain number of pips, it doesn't matter which color dice you use as long as the value shown matches. The benefit or action to carry out is shown directly adjacent to the worker space. During the game, you can influence the result of a die roll using karma. Everyone starts at level 1 karma, which you can spend by moving your cube downward. Any of your rolled dice on your Kali statue can be affected through this use of karma. Simply flip over the die to its opposite side. So a 1 will turn into a 6 and vice versa. You don't need to use a worker to spend karma. You can do it anytime you need to pay a die. For each karma you use, move the cube down 1 level. The bottom marks 0 karma. There are ways to gain karma in the game, so you'll just move the cube upwards. The maximum karma you can have at one time is 3. During the game, it's possible to get up to 2 more workers to a maximum of 5. However, there are 3 ways that you could achieve this. Once you've gained 2, just remove the 3rd from its spot and return it to the game box. One of the new workers can be gained by reaching 20 on the money track. 1 becomes available when you reach 15 fame on the fame track. The 3rd one is gained by moving your boat on or past the bridge space along the river. The new worker comes to your supply immediately and can be used in the current round. By having more workers, you'll have extra turns in a single round, possibly giving more than your opponents. The sooner you can get 1 or 2 extra workers, the better off you'll be. Once a new worker is earned, you can never lose it, even if your marker goes backwards on the money track to below that worker spot. The fame track has 3 bonus spaces on it. Once your fame marker has reached or passed them, you get what's shown immediately. On space 5, you can upgrade a building type of your choice once. On space 24, you may increase your karma level 2 levels. And on space 31, you may advance your boat on the river to the next unoccupied river space and get the rewards on it. The money track has 4 bonus spaces that alternate between 2 different rewards. The bonus shown at spaces 12 and 44 lets you advance your boat to the next empty space and gain those rewards. The other bonus is found at spaces 33 and 55 and lets you take any 2 dice from the supply, roll them and add them to your Kali statue like normal when gaining dice. Since the money track involves gaining and losing money, you could pass one of these spaces and end up behind it again by paying money. However, you only get each of the bonuses on these 4 spaces once, the first time you reach it. To keep track, you'll use your bonus marker token. When passing space 12 the first time, gain the reward and move the token to space 33, flipping it over. Keep advancing this forward to the next unearned bonus space on the money track as you earn it. The quarry area of the map is the primary way to add tiles to your main province board. It's composed of these action spaces depicting various money costs. When you place your worker on one to take this action, pay the shown money by moving back your money token on its track. After spending the money cost, you may gain one of the 12 face-up province tiles in the display beside the board. Each of these tiles has a dice cost shown on it in the top left corner. You'll note the color of the dice required as well as the total value needed to purchase it. You must spend at least that much on your dice in the required color to take it. Return them to the general supply. There is no change, so anything paid over what was required is wasted. You can use as many dice of that color as you need to fulfill the value. The new tile must immediately be placed on your province board so the road connects back somehow to your residence at the top center. The residence has 3 roads extending from it to the 3 adjacent squares. You can rotate the tiles and orient them any way you like, as long as one of its roads can trace a path back to the residence. Not all roads need to be connected, and in fact it's okay to dead end them into other tiles or the edges of the board. Once placed, a tile can never be moved or rotated. If you end up cutting off all your possible paths back to your residence, you won't be able to place new tiles. Along the outside of the province board are bonuses known as special yields. If you're able to legally place a tile on the board with a road that connects to the yield, you get the reward after resolving anything the tile itself gives you. If placing a tile adjacent to a special yield but you don't have a road connecting to it, you won't get it. The special yields could be money, new dice, fame points, or this one which gives you 1 die of your choice and 1 upgrade on any one building. The tiles can have all kinds of things on them besides just roads. You may see 1 or more of the buildings, markets, and others if you're using expansions. When placing a tile on your province board that shows 1 or 2 markets, you'll immediately gain the money shown on each of them. For each building shown on the tile, you gain fame points for it. So if the tile shows the temple, you'll gain fame points equal to the points shown where your upgrade cube is on its scroll. This applies to each of the buildings. You may see up to 2 buildings on a tile. They are scored immediately when the tile's placed and always based on your current position of your color upgrade cube. By improving your level on these scrolls, you'll gain more fame points when placing tiles showing the corresponding buildings. The marketplace area of the board shows various markets and action spaces with goods icons. When you send a worker to one of these spots, you'll gain income for the markets you have on tiles in your province. There are 3 types of markets, 1 for each type of good they sell: silk, tea, or spices. When going to one of these 2 action spaces, you get to choose a market of each good on your province board and gain the income shown. You may only score 1 market per kind of good at these spots, so you'll want to choose your single highest earning market of each that you have. The gray and blue worker icons next to these spots are a reminder that in a 3 or 4 player game, you may place only 1 of your workers on these spaces in a round. So if you've taken the assorted good actions once this round, the second one is unavailable to you. It can only be taken by another player. You may always place workers in the other available market spaces. The other ones are for gaining income of markets of 1 type of good. There's an action space for each type of good to score. Since there's a dice cost shown in the action space for these, you must spend 1 die from your Kali statue. For the number of pips shown on the die you choose to use, you may score money for as many markets you have matching that type. So if you spent a die with a 3, you can score up to 3 markets with that good. Gain the income shown for each on the income track. Using the market spaces effectively is the best way to gain income in the game. The Great Mogul's Palace on the main board is this whole side area and the bottom action spaces here. Some of the palace action spaces require you to spend a die of a certain color or exact number. The actions in the terrace have no cost. This action space is known as the outer terrace and is a free action. By placing a worker here, you gain 2 money on the income track. Then you may re-roll as many of your collected dice as you want. You must keep the new results. The main terrace are these 4 sections. Each action has 2 action spaces available to it. Placing a worker at any of these costs you nothing and just gain 1 die of the color shown. Remember to roll it immediately and place it on an empty hand of your Kali statue. This area is the balconies of the palace and has 4 different action spaces. When placing a worker, you must pay 1 die of the color on the action space to the general supply. Then you gain 2 new dice from the supply of the shown color next to it. So for spending an orange die here, you gain 2 purple. Above all these are 6 chambers of the palace, 1 for each pip value. When placing a worker to any of these spaces, you must spend a dice of the exact pip value needed for it. The color doesn't matter. The value 1 chamber is the Great Mogul spot. After spending a die with a value of 1, gain 2 fame points on the fame track and take the elephant starting player token. You'll be the starting player in the next round. The second chamber is the Dancer and requires you to spend a die showing a 2. Then gain any 2 dice from the supply and draw 1 face-down white yield tile. Immediately gain the reward found on the back of the yield tile and set it aside to form a discard pile. When these run out, reshuffle all of them to make a new face-down pile on the board. The third chamber is Yogi, requiring a die showing a 3. Your reward is to gain 2 karma on the karma track, moving your cube upwards. The top level of the karma track is the maximum. Then you gain 1 die of your choice from the supply. The fourth chamber is Raja Man Singh. When going here, pay a die showing a 4 to gain 3 money and upgrade a building type of your choice. This icon with the arrow is found in multiple places in the game and always corresponds to moving one of your upgrade cubes forward on a building of your choice. This will of course end up giving you more fame points when placing province tiles down showing that building. The fifth chamber is occupied by the Master Builder. Going here with a worker costs 1 die showing a 5. This is a special building action that allows you to cover up any tile in your province with another one from the supply. After placing the new tile, the roads must still connect back to the residence for all your tiles on the board. The new tile can be from any of the face-up ones of the stack set aside next to the board. It can be of any color dice requirement, regardless of which color tile you're covering up. The restriction is that the new tile chosen must be a higher value than the one you're covering. You must spend the dice cost matching the color of the new die, but only paying the difference in value between the old and new one. So you can cover up a value 5 purple tile with a value 8 orange tile, but you must pay at least 3 orange from your dice. It can be paid with 1 or more dice. Also, the game restricts you from gaining the sideboard special yields with the new tile. That's what this icon means on this space. The last spot in the chambers is known as the Portuguese. Give up 1 die showing a 6 and advance exactly 6 unoccupied spaces on the river and get the rewards of the final space you land on. If your boat has advanced on the river to the last 6 spaces, you may not use this action anymore. You must be able to move 6 spots forwards. Everyone starts their boat at the beginning of the river, but once boats start moving, only 1 boat can occupy a space at a time. You will only move forwards along the river and only count empty spaces when moving. Other than the Portuguese chamber and the palace, the main way to move your boat is to use the harbor. The harbor is this small area here with 5 action spaces. The first one is free, while the rest show a money cost of 1 or 2. Whichever space you put your worker, you must pay what's shown from your money token on the income track. Then you can use a 1, 2, or 3 die from your Kali statue to move your boat up to that many spots. With a 1, you must move 1 space. With a 2, you can choose to move 1 or 2. And with a value 3 die, you can choose to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces on the river. Don't count spaces occupied by other players' boats. Wherever your boat stops, you get the rewards shown. Let's take a quick look at what rewards are on the river. This one gives you 2 dice of any color from the supply. Roll them and put them on your Kali statue. This one increases your karma up to 2 levels. When you see the money, just gain the amount shown with your money token on the income track. This reward lets you choose one of the palace actions from 2 to 6 and do it immediately as if you just placed a worker there. You won't need to pay the die requirement or place a worker. You can even take an action in the palace where a worker already sits, so any of the chamber actions are possible except the first one. This reward looks first at your karma. For each level of karma you currently have, you can take 1 die of the shown color, so you'll gain 0 to 3 dice with this reward. This reward gives you fame points equal to what's shown. This one shows the upgrade icon, so you should move up one of your upgrade cubes once on any building you want. This reward gives you 1 money for each market you've built in your province so far. So if you have 3 markets, you gain 3 money on the track. This reward acts just like the assorted goods action in the market and lets you score the money shown on 3 different goods markets in your province. These rewards let you score 1 type of goods market in your province, up to the number shown. So with the 4 on this reward, you could score up to 4 of your markets for a single good of your choice. No dice are needed to score this. This reward gives you 1 fame point per building upgrade you've done among all 4 buildings. Only count the times each cube has been moved up. You won't gain fame for having cubes at the starting column. This reward is similar as it counts how many upgrades you've done on the buildings. For each, gain 2 money. So if you've upgraded 3 times, gain 6 on the money track. The last of the rewards found on the river gives you 2 fame points per karma you have at the moment. So if you have 2 karma levels when landing here, advance 4 spaces on the fame track. Once you've reached the final river space, you can no longer use the harbor actions. Any number of players can reach the final space as an exception to the single boat occupancy rule. The game's end will trigger when one player manages to have their fame marker and money marker converge or pass each other. Then complete the turns necessary so everyone has equal turns. So whoever is sitting between the player who triggered the end game and the current starting player still get to place 1 more worker. After this, check whose markers have passed each other on their final turn and count the difference of fame points between the money marker and the fame marker. Whoever has the most point difference wins. In case of a tie, the first player whose 2 markers passed each other wins. If you want to see who came in second or more, count the number of fame points still separating your fame marker and money markers. After you've played a few games and want to mix it up with an advanced game mode, try out the Navaratnas Variant. In this variant, you can gain and use up to 6 workers instead of just 5, and you should use the back of the Kali statue, giving you only 8 spots for holding dice. Also, flip the province boards to the back and use the side with the new special yields along the edges. Before starting the game, mix up the brown yield tiles. Each player randomly gets 1, reveals it, and places it on one of the 2 possible spaces on their province board. You can choose which yield to cover up. Now place the remaining brown yield tiles and all the other yield tiles face up on the buildings, matching their color on this game board. These can be gained in the game to enhance the special yields you can get from your province board. At the moment you connect roads to the brown yields, you get a special yield depending on the progress you've made so far in a specific field. Remember to resolve the rewards of placing the new tile before gaining the special yield rewards. This one gives you a fame point for each tile in your province that has at least 1 market. This one gives you a fame point for every 3 river spaces you've advanced so far, not counting the starting space. This gives you 1 money per building shown in your province. This one gives you 2 money for each yield you've already connected to. This token gives you 2 fame points for each tile in your province that has a bended road. This yield gives you 2 money for each upgrade you've made so far among all 4 buildings. This one gives you 1 fame point for each active worker you have. In the Navaratnas variant, there are now 2 ways to gain yield tokens. The first is of course going to the dancer chamber in the palace. In addition to gaining 2 dice of your choice, you may choose any face-up yield tile on the game board to take. Place it face up on an unoccupied space of the corresponding color on your province board. The yield is not earned immediately. Instead, you only get it if you successfully connect a road to it on your province board. The second way to gain yield tokens is when you have fewer active workers than other players. When it would go to your turn but you have no workers, you can instead gain a yield token and decide which unoccupied space you want to place it, wherever the color matches. You may not move or cover yield tiles already placed on the board. Also, you may only gain yield tokens of a color that you still have space available for on your board. The Ganja module is a variant included in the base game you can add into any game to modify the river. You'll add the 8 included river tiles to the game. Shuffle them face down into a stack first. Then roll a die and count the spaces starting with the first space after the starting spot. Draw the first river tile and place it face up on that river space. Roll again and count the next spaces from there and place a new tile again. Keep going until either you run out of river tiles or you reach the end of the river. The final space can never be covered by one of these river tiles. Return the rest to the game box. The new river tiles have different rewards on them, but they should be self-explanatory. If you have questions on these, check the descriptions of each in the rulebook on page 23. The Tiger expansion is a mini expansion for Rajas of the Ganges that adds 4 new province tiles. There's one for each color stack going into the Tiger stack of each. To purchase one as it comes face up, the cost is 2 dice of one color in any value based on the color shown. Each one has an immediate and permanent benefit. The Ashoka pillar tile immediately gives you 1 money per province tile already lying in your province. From then on, every time you use karma to flip a die to its opposite side, you change the result by plus or minus 1. The Akbar's bridge tile immediately lets you gain the earnings on the river space where your boat is currently standing. From then on, every time you move your boat, you may move it 1 space further than indicated. The black market tile gives you any 2 dice from the supply when placed. Then, every time you use a balcony action space in the palace, you may exchange 1 die of any color to get 2 dice of one color you choose. Finally, the imperial flag, when placed, immediately lets you use the function of an action space where one of your workers is currently standing. Then, every time you want to carry out a palace action, you may use a die that differs plus or minus 1 from the number needed. It can go from 1 to 6 and vice versa as well. The Mango Village is a mini expansion you can get and add into your game. It comes with 8 Mango Village tiles, a new brown yield tile, and a mango tree tile that goes over the game board to give you 2 new action spaces. To set it up, mix the Mango Village tiles together into 1 new face-up stack near the others. Place the mango tree tile covering the artwork on the game board below the market. There's a 3 to 4 player side and a 2 player side. In the 3 to 4 player game, a player may only take the action once in a round as shown by these 2 worker icons on them. The mango tiles can be acquired with a build action like others, but have different costs. You must give up 2 dice of the same value, regardless of color, to take one. Each tile has a benefit when placed in your province, which is usually money and a die, or money and karma. There's one that also lets you move your boat. By taking the mango tree action on the new tile, you may score up to 2 mango villages in your province again. If you have more than 2, you have to pick which 2 to score again. These tiles can never be overbuilt with the Master Builder action. However, you are allowed to use the Master Builder to place a mango village tile over a normal one. Just pay a die with a value 5. The new brown yield tile will only be used in the Navaratnas variant. Just mix it together with the others before starting. When you successfully connect to it, you get to advance 3 on the money track for each mango village in your province. Keep the rulebook handy and check BoardGameGeek.com for FAQs and extra content. The Meeple Mentor channel is now part of the board game community, the Gateway Network, made up of great upcoming board game content creators. The network includes Instagrammers, podcasters, YouTubers, artists, and more. Click the link in the video's description or head over to the Gateway Network's Instagram to find great new content. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Like and subscribe if you found this teaching helpful. Stick around to watch another Learn to Play video. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.